Hey everyone.
Hi.
How's it going? I'm Jerry James Stone, and welcome to the Global Green Hangout with Michelle Branch.
Hello.
And we are hanging out here in her actual lovely home. Let's try to show you I'm going to turn the computer around and show you the view that we have here, since you won't get to partake in it. But we're here in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
So it's nice out. It's a great day. We have a view of her avocado tree, and I'm drooling over that. So thank you so much for letting me come here and talk to you. I guess we should start off with Global Green, since that's why we're here. Tomorrow is the Global Green pre-Oscar party.
One of my favorite parties ever, because it's, parties are fantastic, but this has a great cause behind it, so you actually get to feel good about going out.
Right. About drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went for the first time last year, and I think I just missed you, and I was really bummed about that.
Well, we have a redo.
Yeah, we'll have a redo.
You're really sick of me tomorrow when I'm following you around.
But like you said, I mean, this party is a great party. It's Global Green's a great organization. I love Global Green. Just, you're active with them. But the thing that I really enjoy about them is they do a lot of great things sort of around the country and I guess the world almost, with energy, architecture, food, you name it. Anything that's environmental, they sort of have their hands in. And this party is a big fundraiser for them. And I think there's still tickets available too if you want to go, because tomorrow night Willie Nelson is
playing.
Yeah, is headlining the show. Sheila E. was last year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's always a great party.
But Willie might think it's a green party. I don't know if he knows.
That's okay. That's
tell him.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Have you seen him in concert?
The last time I saw Willie was we were both playing at the Nobel Peace concert in Norway. Oh. And I had a super awkward fan moment in the hallway, and I was like, oh my God, we got in the elevator at the same time, and I was just like, that's Willie Nelson, don't freak out. So I'm a huge, huge fan, and even if I wasn't involved with Global Green, I would find a way in tomorrow, but I fortunately will be there.
You have a ticket.
And have a reason to be there.
Yeah, I had it. So if you haven't yet, get a ticket and come on, join us. It's here in Hollywood. We'll put information in the event for those of you that do want to join. Speaking of, can you talk about how you kind of got involved with Global Green?
Yeah, Global Green is an organization that I really became involved with right after my daughter was born. And my daughter's 7 years old, so it was kind of around then when, I have this brand new baby, and I'm going, okay, the world is a seriously scary place when you have children, and started to really become aware of huge eco issues. And so reached out to Global Green and asked how I could help, and started playing their events. One of the first ones I played was in San Francisco, and and they kept inviting me back, and I was like, okay, great. So over the years, I've become close with the organization, and I really love the organization, and have met really cool, like-minded people through it. So it just, I really love everyone involved.
Now, are you involved when you're sort of I imagine lots of people sort of pitch to you to get involved with organizations, and what are sort of the criteria you have for being involved with a nonprofit? Because that's one of the things I actually really like about Global Green is it seems that the people that they have, they have a lot of names involved, but they have really credible people in not just industry, but they actually in the eco space. I really value what they do.
No, that's a really good question, because I get emails daily, will you please be a part of our event or whatnot. And for me, in order to put yourself in that position where you can speak and be passionate about it, you have to believe it, and you have to live it, and it has to be something that's close to you. So for me, being involved with Global Green was a no-brainer. And a lot of the other organizations that I've gotten involved with in the past are, have to deal with children, cancer, stuff like that. But Global Green has been one of those ones that it's just a no-brainer for me.
Well, and on some level, I think, for example, their Green Schools program. You mentioned, having a kid and how it's a scary place for when you have a baby. It can be a scary place even if you have a cat. It can be, it's a scary world.
What is in my cat's food?
Exactly.
I need to find out.
I've thought about, cooking my own cat food sometimes. I've spent hours Googling that. But I
I'm
mean,
glad I'm not the only one.
so, yes, yes. But they do these. They have the Green Schools program, which I think that's the name of that. I'm going to put all this information in the event, like I said. But it's to kind of give. I think they award $75,000 to a school in order to upgrade them and to make them green. You know, whether that be solar or things that are not toxic. I mean,
Yeah.
so many things used in architecture and building are off-gassing like all kinds of toxins. And so we talk
And a
about
lot of schools, were built so long ago, and as they especially with the economy, as they their maintenance kind of goes downhill, suddenly it becomes a real issue.
yeah, yeah. So you can if you go to Global Green's website, I think you can actually submit your school to be a part of that competition. I think they do it annually,
Yes,
right?
they do.
So, and have you done anything with this school?
I have not, and I actually really get jealous because at some of these Global Green events, I talk to other people who are there, and they're like, "Oh, well, when I was down in New Orleans," I'm like, "Hey, wait a minute! I know that I am the musician who comes and plays your events, but I actually want to see
Right.
what's going on." So I've been hounding Matt. I'm like, I want to go to New Orleans. I want to go put solar panels up in sandy affected areas.
I will join you.
I can do more than just sing, people.
But you do that so well, so
All right, I'll sing while we're putting solar panels up.
Okay, maybe write a song about that.
Okay.
Is there a solar panel song? Probably not.
Yeah.
The first time we sort of hung out and chat, I mean, I met you through Global Green, and we talked sort of about your place in the food movement. And the thing that I always come back to is I love your Twitter bio. It's really descriptive, as far as, and I agree with you like on everything as far as backyard chickens and, food and wine and all those things. When you first, you grow a lot of your own food, and you've, had backyard chickens. Like, how was that also something that came from having a kid?
Exactly. I think one of the first things that really changed for us as a family was food after bringing my daughter home. I started really being curious about where food was coming from and what was in it. And I grew up in a pretty liberal household anyway, so I had this background. My dad was always gardening. And, we were fortunate that we lived in an area where we could go to the little stand and buy, vegetables and trade for stuff. So that wasn't a foreign idea to me. But living in Los Angeles, it's not as convenient, for sure. But you change one thing, and it just kind of, I became so passionate about food and food safety issues, and the more I researched, kind of the crazier I became. I was like, we're going to grow our own food, and like in a dream world, you should see my dad and I together. We're like, we're going to have a compound one day, and we're going to grow all our own food, and we're going to be completely off the grid. And everyone's like, okay, great. But
will that be here in LA?
Probably not, because I don't know where we would find the space. But I just really, I'm very passionate about it. And it's, at the end of the day, why do we all go to work and slave away? It's to provide food for our families. And I feel like it's the most heartbreaking thing when you have a small child and you show them an avocado and they don't know what it is, and they're eating processed food. So that really is, I can talk about it all day.
No, please do. I love it. I mean, no, it's great. I mean, I've done some work with school gardens in the Bay Area, and I've met kids that are like, "What's that?" I'm like, "That's a tomato," and that's really heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking.
So how would you describe, I guess, your daughter's relationship to food compared to maybe your own growing up? Like, have you improved upon it? I mean, is it, or just even compared to maybe to other kids that you?
I wish that she was not in school right now, so you could just meet her yourself, because you've yet to meet her. And she's really fortunate. They have the school she goes to, they have a school garden, and kids love it. And I think when you have the opportunity to involve them in the process, that you'll find that they're really excited and adventurous, and not as scared and nervous to try new things. My daughter grew up in a house that we just made dinner, and that's what it was. And she could either eat it or not. So she's really, really adventurous. She helps me pick stuff out at the store. She helps me cook. And she eats probably more crazy stuff than I eat. She's the first person to, like, she loves, if we go out, she eats like the crazy Japanese, like the salmon eggs and stuff that I won't eat. And she's like, ooh, cool, you know, any kind of tentacle octopus situation she's really into. But she's been really adventurous since she was little. But my favorite thing is, like, in the height of summer, if we're in our garden and she's just grabbing stuff off and eating it, and like, that's awesome. She never complains about her greens.
you I think you mentioned last time too that she would sort of feed the chickens with, you know, the organic blueberries or berries or whatever from the market.
Yeah.
You know, so the chickens were even eating better than you guys were.
I had to tell her that we can't give all of our organic blueberries that cost a fortune to our chickens. And she's like, but they love those. Like, they can eat the bugs, okay? That's what they're there for.
That's great, though. I mean, it is true. I mean, like, you've seen, like, how kids, the relationship that kids have with food is so interesting. And, you know, and I think, for example, I mean, you know, we've seen sort of vegetables-wise, we've seen Brussels sprouts be, like, a huge thing in the past couple of years, right? Brussels sprouts
it's very hot right now.
Everywhere. And super trend. And but most people hated them, I think, as kids.
Growing up, you did not eat Brussels sprouts.
Right. And I think I read a study actually this morning about how, like, a lot of kids actually don't mind vegetables if they're prepared correctly. You know, and I think most people had boiled Brussels sprouts, which makes them extremely bitter
and
nasty. And no one wants to eat that, you know.
My dad grew up in a giant Catholic family of 10 brothers and sisters, and, you know, the food that he grew up on was not gourmet by any stretch. My fabulous grandmother had her hands full. And he had only had Brussels sprouts that were just boiled to death and just disgusting. And I remember my mom is a really amazing cook, so we grew up with a lot of different exposure to different foods. And my dad was just like, do not buy those Brussels sprouts. If you buy those, I won't eat them. And I was like, okay, how old are you now? And finally, my dad's finally like, oh, wow, I actually like Brussels sprouts.
So you can have them on the commune when you get it. Like,
I made them for Thanksgiving, and
nice.
He actually ate them. So it was a huge victory.
What are some of your specialties when it comes to cooking?
I roast a lot of vegetables. I'm a very simple cook. I'm learning ways to be more refined because of my friend Michael Mina, who I know you know. But
which we'll get to.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
I love, especially because I have a garden, I love just roasting vegetables. Especially beets and cauliflower and broccoli, and I just love throwing it in there with a little olive oil, salt, pepper, and
doesn't take much.
And it's so delicious. And like I said, my daughter has discovered a lot of vegetables that way, and just loves them. Parsnips and carrots, and I roast everything.
Roasting, it's an easy way. And I'm with you on that. I think the simpler recipe is, just if you have good produce.
If you have good produce,
like, it just stands on its own. You don't need to do anything to it, really. Can you talk about, you mentioned Michael Mina, and I'd like to hear a little bit about, because I actually don't think I know this story, but how you got involved with him and the Cook Taste E. I know you're part of that.
Yeah.
I've seen the videos. And I see, if you don't follow Michelle on Instagram, which I do, like, every time you're always posting photos of food, and I'm always like,
and you're not?
Oh, I am too. Like, your feed is always making me hungry, and I think
as his story.
He has a big part of that. Is
yeah.
Like, so if you could talk about that a little bit.
I met Chef Michael Mina at a Global Green event in San Francisco.
Okay.
So it's 6 degrees of separation. He was doing the food for the event, and I was doing the music. And I'm being a huge food obsessed person. I saw him come out of the kitchen in his whites. I was like, "Hi, chef. It's such an honor to meet you. You know, what's on the menu tonight?" And he was like, told me. And I was like, "Well, what sauce are you putting on that?" He's like, "Oh, okay, you're a food person." And we just kind of struck up a friendship. And I was going back up to the Bay Area for New Year's and Christmas that year to vacation, and was asking him about where to eat, and went into his restaurant and just started hanging out. And little did I know he was working on this really great online show called Cook, Taste, Eat, and he was looking for a co-host. And he was like, I have this crazy idea. Would you like to be a co-host of Cook, Taste, Eat? And I was like, yes, please, sign me up. And I've learned so much as a co-host next to him. It's very instructional. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in food shows, which I watch constantly, is when they're like, next up, we're going to make this. And then they pull it out of the oven, and it's perfect, and you don't really see how it goes from point A to point B.
Right.
And so we start, and we're sauteing onions, and we're walking you through the meal, and you learn really high-quality, restaurant-quality meals.
Yeah, I mean, the recipes are amazing, and I think I agree with you. Like, the instructional part is the real value add from watching them, because you see that, like, you'll have someone who talk about like mixing things together, and all of a sudden they have the souffle, and you're like, but wait, what? So.
And Michael, he'll start talking about something, and it doesn't seem that revolutionary to him because he's been doing this his whole life, but he'll just let some minor detail go by, and you're like, wait, what did you just say? That's what you do? Because I've been trying to do this at home, and it never turns out, and you just told me basically what I've been doing wrong. So there are a lot of little moments like that I've learned that I hope at home, if you sign up and watch, that you'll learn too.
It's cooktasteeat.com.
Cooktasteeat.com. We haven't had many vegetarian meals yet.
Invite me for that day.
I need to have you. Michael teases me because every time you break out the Vitamix or something to make some puree or sauce, he's like, I know that this is what you use for your juices. And I'm like, I know. It's a balance. I can't eat, a steak every day.
Right.
One morning we were filming, and it was like the veal shoot at 9 a.m. and I was like, oh God, I used to be vegan. How did this happen?
Well, I mean, I follow both you and Cook Tasty and Michael on Instagram, and I see those photos, and as a vegetarian, I'm still like, I wish I wasn't, because it looks really good.
Wait, can we talk about your wallet
We
for
can.
a moment?
Okay, so we were joking about this earlier. This is my bacon wallet, which I've been a vegetarian for 23 years. Yeah. So my friends like to torment me and buy me bacon-themed items. I have bacon shirts and various other...
I now know what I'm getting you for your birthday and Christmas.
I think I got like a bacon air freshener for the car at the point.
Yeah.
Which, luckily enough, living in San Francisco, I don't own a car, so I didn't have to use that one. But
he could throw it away because it wouldn't be very eco of him.
So I have, my best friend from college bought me this, Frances. She bought me the bacon wallet, so she tortures me with it quite often.
I think it's genius.
Well, I get lots of compliments on it, so I'm gonna get. Do you have any bacon? Are you a big bacon fan?
Bacon is was my gateway drug back to eating meat.
It is often, yeah.
Yeah, I was vegan for almost 4 years, and one morning after a few too many drinks, I woke up and was like, I need bacon right now. And that was the point of no return.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I don't. Personally, it's a texture and taste thing for me. So I just stopped eating it in high school. But I think like sustainably, you can eat meat in a very responsible way. So
which is what I joke because I do love bacon, but that was also one of the big things that changed in my house when I had Owen, was being a responsible consumer.
Right.
And whether it's food or any kind of product, that's just something that has become part of our everyday life now.
Now, is she involved with Global Grain?
She is, unbeknownst to her. I mean, she's inspired me to be involved. So maybe one day we'll have like a kids event.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Kids cooking event, or who knows.
I also want to point out that we're drinking these amazing. I can't really show you it because I'd spill.
Mine's gone.
But did you finish yours?
I was way faster.
She made. She's like, oh, I'm kind of a foodie, but you made us these amazing green tea lattes here to sip on with almond milk. So vegan.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So I'm hoping to put you on the spot a little bit today.
Oh, yes.
And beg you to sing. Because that's something I wanted to ask last time, and we didn't get to. And this way I can sit around and drink my wonderful latte.
It might be cold now.
and you can do the work.
All right. I was talking about, here, let me get up my cheat sheet here. I have some lyrics over there because I'm a little forgetful of songs that I haven't played in a while. So Willie Nelson is playing the Global Green event tomorrow here in Hollywood.
Get a ticket.
There's still tickets available. And I'm going to play one of my very favorite Willie Nelson songs, which is called Sad Songs and Waltzes. It has some of the best lyrics ever. And I might mess up because I haven't played this in a while, and I might be looking over the lyrics. And my screen might go black halfway through, so we'll see. This is going to be fun. I'm writing a song all about you. A true song as real as my tears. You no need to fear it, 'cause no one will hear it. Sad songs and waltzes aren't selling this year. I'll tell all about how you've cheated. Like for the whole world to know. I'd like to get even with you, 'cause you're leaving. Sad songs and waltzes aren't selling this year. It's a good thing that I'm not a star. You don't know how lucky you are. My records may say it, no one will play it. 'Cause sad songs and waltzes aren't selling this year. There you go.
That was awesome.
And I remembered
You
it.
remembered everything.
I only messed up once or twice.
I love Willie Nelson. So that's having you sing one of his songs is a treat.
Even though it's a goofy song.
I love that song.
I'm gonna be that weirdo who like runs on stage tomorrow and gets totally taken out by security. Be like, wait, was that Michelle? Did you just get arrested?
Does that happen to you a lot when you're on stage?
It's happened a few
Oh, really?
times. But what's weird is I'm usually in front and I never know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
And suddenly I'll hear someone mess up in the band and I turn around and I'm like, oh, there are people on the stage. So
You just keep singing.
yeah, but most often it happens at like conventions where it's like a private show and it's, you know, all the people have been in meetings all week and they make it to the end. And then suddenly it's all the coworkers that are drinking together and singing, and it's quite a show for me.
So
actually.
I'm gonna look out for one of your conventional performances next time.
And they usually I'll end up on stage singing with me. It's those are the fun ones. It's always the people you least expect.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's never at like the rock shows that people do it.
They don't
They're
get
too cool.
Well, now they just have their big lighter on their iPhone,
Yeah.
right? So they don't even. Yeah, they're tame.
Yeah.
So the conventions. Okay, now we know. Do you have another
Another
tune
one?
in
I
you?
do. I'll play, since we've been talking about my daughter Owen so much, I'll play a song that she inspired, and it's a song called Crazy Ride. Good night, big moon, sweet dreams, baby. If I could have one wish tonight, it would be you always keep the style right. One day you'll grow up, one day you'll walk out in this big world on your own. And there'll be days when your heart will break. You'll swear that all your strength is gone. Then you'll find a way to get on. knows it's crazy, right? It's never perfect all the time. It'll pull you down and set you fine. So baby, hold on tight on this crazy ride. So don't be scared when you're in the darkness. Sun to swallow back around. You think it's gone, but it's hanging on. It's just on the other side of town. Even when it's lost, can't be found. Heaven knows that it's a crazy ride. It's never perfect all the time. It'll pull you down and set you fine. So baby, hold on tight on this crazy ride. Good night, big moon. Sweet dreams, baby.
We'd be like a applause machine, since obviously my applause is
I
not
know.
enough.
We're like the only people here. Hey,
Wow.
how was it, neighbors?
Well, that's much better than listening to it on my iPod on the way.
Oh, good.
Here, so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing that.
No worries. I'm hoping that you know, that was me singing for my supper. So next time I'm in San Francisco,
Anytime.
we need to eat
Yes,
together.
yes. I fully support that. And
I just bribe people into food and drinks with song.
that's a great currency. You might get somewhere doing that.
Yeah.
So we have just a few minutes left. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered today outside of food, Global Green,
Let's
food?
see, yeah, food and food and food, global grains and drinks. We haven't spoken a lot about drinks, but
It's true. We haven't. I think we'll end it on alcohol. We'll talk about drinks.
we'll talk about drinks and really, truly, if you are close by and you can make it to the show tomorrow, it's going to be a great event and it's going to be good people watching.
Yes.
And I think it's one of the best events, especially since it's around Oscars. You know, so many of these parties kind of get lost, and this one's something you can feel good about supporting and going to. And I really highly encourage you to try to come and go to Cook, Taste, Eat.
Yes.
Learn how to cook some really fantastic dishes with Chef Mina and I. And also I'm working on new music, so be on the lookout for that.
Any idea when that might be?
It's, you know, I've been trying to put out a batch of, I made a record about 2 years ago. I've been trying to put it out, and now it's kind of become so old that I've just decided I'm going to start releasing that as I'm working on a new record. So
Okay.
I'm hoping for brand new spanking material before the end of the year.
Great.
And it won't all be about solar panels and chickens, but
There might be.
There might be.
At least one song about solar panels.
Yeah.
Well, also about Global Green, we will be streaming the Oscar event tomorrow too. I'll be doing interviews from the green
good.
carpet. So I might.
then you'll see me.
Yes, I'll grab you again and we'll talk about food and drinks a little bit more. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Talk to you soon.